Usually when I'm tip-up fishing, there's a couple of rules. First of all, I like to use a variety of different styles. Okay, if it's not real cold outside, I like to use the wind tip-ups or something to create a little bit of movement whenever I possibly can. If it's really starting to get more on the colder side, then I'll go to my underwaters, like the polars. Really a cold day, a lot of blowing snow, then I like to go to the thermal ones. So you get the hole covers, keep the blowing snow out of the hole, block light, keep the holes from freezing over. Well, it depends a little bit what you're fishing for, first of all. So I think your reader should think about and consider the species that he's going after. And then secondarily, what lake type is he fishing? Is it a deep lake? Is it a shallow lake? What's the primary forage base? That'd be another good thing. Water clarity is an influence on where I might set up. So as a suggestion, I would say if you've got a standard lake, and if I'm going to go out there and try to work, it's my first time, what I would probably do is try to find some kind of a lake structure, a point, maybe a sunken island, where I've got a little bit of depth variance. Set a few of those tip-ups, if I'm in a group, up into the shallow flat, maybe into some cover, a couple along the drop, and then a couple further down. See if I can get a pattern, try to figure out where those fish are. Now that's a really good question, and then again, depending on the lake type, the water clarity, species I'm fishing for, but probably in general, if I'm fishing shallower, most of the time I'll keep my baits higher up. I'll keep them right up underneath the ice. As I drop into deeper water, I might go halfway down or suspend it a few feet off the bottom. Deeper water, again, if we've got a lot of lines out there, I'll try to mix it up a little bit. I might have a few closer to the bottom, some suspended, somewhere between a third, maybe halfway down. Okay. Another great question. I think this reader was also a tip-up fisherman. So, these fish a lot of times, because there isn't a lot of structure, are scattered midwinter. There's no question about it. So instead of looking at the structure variable, maybe start looking for cover. Is there weeds? Is there some rocks somewhere in this lake? If it's a reservoir type system, is there maybe some kind of a flooded feature that might help to attract fish? Otherwise, forage becomes really important. And since they can be scattered, what I really like to do is I call it leapfrogging. I go out with my buddies, we'll kind of spread out some tip-ups scattered through an area, and we'll drill a series of holes, and we'll actually leapfrog the tip-ups. The ones we put in first, after 15 minutes, half hour, we'll move them forward, and we'll keep going and covering water, trying to see if we can find a concentration of fish. And typically, we will find some form of cover or a concentration of forage that's actually holding those fish. First of all, I'd probably get something just a little bit longer, maybe a 30, 31 inch rod. That way I've got some little more control if I do catch a bigger walleye or a bigger pike. But if I have a longer rod and if I go with something that's got a faster tip to it, okay, so it could have a pretty good backbone on it, so if I do catch a bigger pike or walleye, I can get the hook set, fight the fish. But with that faster tip, we'll call this, say, a medium light action type rod. Get a little bit of tip action. Now I can still use that. I could use for smaller baits, say I'm fishing for perch. So I would guess probably something in a 30 to 31 inch rod with a fast action tip, maybe medium light action, and a decent spinning reel. And I'd probably go with a couple of spools. I might have a spool that's got 4-pound or 6-pound line on it I could use for perch or smaller walleyes. And then if I do decide to start fishing bigger walleyes or pike, I might have another reel or another spool that I'd wrap up maybe with some type of a braid and a fluorocarbon leader. That way I can switch it out. I can use the same rod, the same reel, and just having a couple of spools, be a little more versatile.